Hey, hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Chastity. Here we talk about beauty, entertainment, celebrities, books, movies, animes, TV shows, and kind of anything else that garners my attention this week. And today we're going to be talking about everything surrounding Sienna Mae Gomez. Now, before we get into this, I would like to say a trigger warning for sexual assault. If that is something that you do not want to hear about, please click off this video. We're going to be getting into that. It's a lot. Also, just want to make sure that we all know that the things talked about in this video are all alleged. We do not personally know these people. We don't personally know the relationship with each other. So all we have is hearsay. So again, all alleged. So in the situation, there are four major players. There are Sienna herself, Jack Wright, his twin brother James Wright, and a mutual friend, Mason. If you do not know who Sienna is a 17-year-old TikToker who before the situation had 15 million followers, now has dipped below 14 million. She makes body positivity content. Now, I have a beef with body positive TikTok because body positive TikTok is only body positive if you have a specific type of body. The people who are like at the heads of this, including Sienna, are all very conventionally attractive, are slim, and have curves in the right places. These are girls who like in their pictures like contort their bodies to try to prove and show that like skinnier people have like stomach fat and like body rolls and stuff like that. I personally, again, don't see it for body positivity TikTok because the main types of people who should be at the forefront of the body positivity movement are not. Again, it should be plus size, bigger men and women who should be at the forefront of it, not people who are conventionally attractive and are to a lot of people just slightly curvy, like slim. Like if you can be referred to as slim thick, I really don't feel like you should be at the head of the body positivity movement. Now, does that mean because you have a slimmer body you should not have body positivity? No. But when it's the movement, the people who get the most criticism, the most ridicule, the most shit put on them no matter what they're doing, whether they're not trying to gain weight or are trying to lose weight, are bigger people. And I also feel that like Sienna's content itself, there is no education, there is no learning, there is nothing of substance. It's just her in admittedly very cute bikinis. Listen, one thing about Sienna, she gonna wear a nice bathing suit. Very cute. But that's it. It's very shallow, very kiddie pool, but she's also 17 years old. Is what you expect. But at the same time, if your whole thing is like mental health and like body positivity, you should be giving the girls some knowledge, giving us something of importance, of substance, but we're not really getting that. Again, Sienna got her following because she's pretty. Like, she's a pretty girl. Like, there's no denying that Sienna is very pretty, very conventionally attractive. But, like, they're not there because she's this, like, warrior for body positivity. No, she's cute. Next, we have Jack Wright, who is Sienna's ex-boyfriend as well as a TikToker. I don't know what he does. Like, I can pinpoint exactly what type of content, like, Sienna makes. I have no clue what Jack does. Be white? I don't know what he do. He does it well. He has a decent amount of following, but like I don't really, I couldn't tell you what he does. Next we have James Wright, who I could just assume he got his following from being Jack's twin brother. And then we have Mason, who is, like I said earlier, a mutual friend of Jack and Sienna's. So this whole situation kicked off with a tweet from Jack. He had just decided out of nowhere to post this tweet. This is kind of how the whole situation got into motion. Jack had tweeted, "Jack and James have been my best friends since kindergarten." And then here's the notes app. "I struggle with seeing a girl getting praise after telling my best friend to kill himself and sexually assaulting him numerous times after he set boundaries, and then repeatedly wondered why he doesn't like you back. She also has a history of verbally abusing people in high school and in LA. Not you texting me right now. She prioritizes the growth of her platform rather than the positive message she represents herself as. Followers should not be an excuse to get away with abusive behavior. You guys all deserve to know the truth about her. Now, before we really get into the situation, I would like to say that, like, unless, like, Jack had given his permission for Mason to post this, I think it's very gross and disgusting that he did that. If he never got Jack's, like, blessings to do so. Because I don't really know what happened behind the scenes, but you can tell they had a falling out. And it does feel like he's weaponizing Jack's traumas to kind of get back at Sienna for whatever is happening behind the scenes. And that really does bother me. Because through this whole situation, Jack hasn't really said much of anything. You know, he said a small bit, but he really, like, you can tell that he really does not want this mess. And I do not like the fact that Mason did this if he did not get Jack's consent to do it in the first place. So this tweet goes out, the block is hot. You got Jack's brother James retweeting it. You got people who went to school or personally know Sienna giving their stories of how much of an abusive bully she is. She down bad. It ain't looking too good for Sienna on the Twitter front. Okay, the girls had stories to tell about dear old Sienna. Sienna then takes to her TikTok where she posts like a black screen and she's like, friends fight, relationships end, we're gonna take this off social media and deal with it, you know, live, love, happy, heart emojis type of, it really wasn't much, just like, hey, respect our privacy, we're gonna deal with this privately, you know, we're real friends, really know each other, stuff like that. So about 5 days ago, Sienna had posted her very first video addressing the situation surrounding her and Jack. She starts off the video by stating that she in fact did not assault Jack and that it's very wrong of him to not come forward and say anything about the situation because, again, when this originally did kick off, Jack was radio silent. And I don't really think that's fair for Sienna to be like, you were supposed to stick up for me, when clearly this is a very traumatic situation for Jack. He has the whole world know that he's been sexually assaulted by someone. We'll get into that later, but like an assault did happen and he's just been outed to the world, especially as like a young boy. The sexual assault of boys and men are never taken serious, so I can only imagine him just wanting to hide and never actually address and talk about this, which is fair. You don't have to talk about your trauma when people want you to. Sienna brings up the fact that she felt extremely blindsided by Jack because he never brought up this feeling that she had assaulted him, which, again, if you're sexually assaulted, you don't want to have a conversation with the person that assaulted you if you've even realized you've been assaulted in the first place. A lot of times it takes months, even years, to realize that what happened to you is what happened. A lot of times people don't even register an assault. So I'm not going to blame Jack for not talking to you about it. If you really did do that to him, again, it's all alleged. But if you really did assault him, he doesn't have to talk to you about it. How do you sit down with someone who's assaulted you and been like, hey, you did something I didn't like? You're gonna get gaslit. There really is no point to sitting down and talking to the people who've assaulted you. Very rarely does that get you anywhere anyways. But again, that's even if you realize it as soon as it happens. Sienna believes because the tweet that Mason put up ended up being deleted, that's her smoking gun to prove that she's innocent. Now, the tweet could have been deleted for multiple reasons. One, you stated in your TikTok that you yourself ended up deleting that you guys were going to be dealing with this offline. So if that was the case, deleting the tweet does make sense if you're going to deal with this in real life. Two, you have mentioned bringing up lawyers. By, like, you know, instruction of a lawyer, he was told to delete the tweet. Or as well, maybe Jack simply asked him to take it down. Because again, this was not Mason's trauma to bring up. And for all we know, Jack could have been like, hey dude, like, I see what you were trying to do for me, but if you could please take down the tweet. So I could believe for numerous reasons why that tweet was deleted, as well as why your TikTok about the situation was also deleted. And it then brings up the fact that her and Jake have never had a sexual relationship. They've never had sex, which I feel like is a very minute point. a sexual assault is not just penetrative sex, it is inappropriate touching and behaviors that you do not consent to. That does not automatically mean you have to have sex with somebody or be forced to have sex with somebody. If someone touches you inappropriately against your consent, that is still sexual assault. Again, I feel like the biggest issue behind Sienna's points in these two videos is the fact that she is so young, so therefore she is so unknowledgeable about the subject of sexual assault, and when she's talking about it, she just continues to dig herself a deeper hole because she hasn't done the reading because she's 17 years old. Sienna also brings up that in their relationship, Sienna loved Jack more than Jack loved Sienna, and that when they broke up, he used her love and passion against her to show that Sienna was very controlling and a little bit, cuckoo bananas. That whole section of the video was absolutely unnecessary for any reasons other than manipulation. I don't really understand why we needed to know that you loved him more than he loved you, outside of the fact of maybe trying to prove that, like, how could you assault him if you loved him so much, which again, love don't mean anything when it comes to sexual assault. There are plenty of people who sexually assaulted their partners that would tell you they very much so love them. So I don't feel like that's like a smoking gun to be like, you don't assault people you love, because a lot of people have been assaulted by loved ones. Now, this is the section of the video that pisses me off. Okay, it pisses me the fuck off because Sienna says that Jack was in fact sexually assaulted, just not by her. Like, she starts it off by saying, like, I'm so sorry I have to do this to you, Jack, and that is fucking bullshit. If you feel sorry, you wouldn't have done it. You're trying to push this away from you and be like, no, 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 Jack is definitely a victim, not by me though. You dragged Mason and Jack for bringing up this sexual assault with no proof, and then you bring up a sexual assault with no proof. I don't enjoy the fact that, again, I don't know Jack, but his trauma is being used for the benefit of other people. There's always somebody that is not Jack talking about his assault, and I feel so bad for him because, again, he's been pretty much silent this whole time. Like, he's made I think he made a statement, but again, it's just like, leave this boy alone. You can't tell me you are sorry and then use his sexual assault for your own gain. That does not look good, Sienna. And as well as, like, not looking good, Sienna's tone in both of these videos are very aggressive. It feels like she's trying to shake you through the camera. Now, that could be a couple of things. One, she could just very much so just be upset, about the whole situation because she doesn't feel like she has to defend herself because she believes all of this is baseless, and because no one likes to defend themselves when they haven't done anything. So I'm really trying to be fair for legal reasons, that maybe Sienna is just fed up of having to deal with baseless lies. But when you are talking to the public about how you have not sexually assaulted someone, being so aggressive in such a delicate situation kind of does the opposite for a viewer. I feel like more somber, more even tone is definitely the way to go about such a careful situation like sexual assault. But you being so... Sorry, someone walked past my window. I got scared. But seeing someone just being so aggressive, especially right out the gate, it's very jarring. Like, I feel like when you watch regular YouTube content, people don't really be aggressive like that. So then when you click onto her, like, video talking about it, it's just like, you're like, oh my God, sis. Like, ooh. It's a lot. And I don't feel like that was the right tone to do a video like this. At least for me, it made me definitely, I felt very off-put seeing how aggressive she was. But again, it could just be her being just tired of trying to have to defend herself, something she believes she doesn't have to defend herself for. Sienna also brings up in this video, in her second video, that she's suing, and then in her second video she brought up the fact that like she wouldn't be suing if she actually did it. And I'm like, bless her 17-year-old heart, because if she was grown, she would know how dumb that statement was, because plenty of people sue when they did it. Okay, innocence or not innocence means nothing to a lawsuit. As long as you can prove you didn't do it, even if you did do it, it don't matter. That was just something that it tickled me a little bit, because I was just like, oh yeah, she a child, and she really shows her age in the second video. Before we get into the second addressing video, we have to talk about the TikTok that caused it. And there's a TikTok of Jack and Sienna at a party. I will not be including the video in this video, nor will I be linking to the video. If you want to see it, go find it yourself. But I will not be posting the possible sexual assault of a young boy. I'm not going to do that. I very uncomfortably saw it. I really didn't want to see it, but I had to in order to be informed for this video. I wouldn't recommend watching it. You don't really need to. Just know, caught 4K. So you have Jack and Sienna at a party. You can very much so tell that Jack is heavily intoxicated, like heavily off his ass. And you have Jake, a boy who this TikTok is made by, who's sitting next to him in a white hat, and Jack's arm is just kind of like draped on him, and then you see Sienna kind of start making out with Jack. The boy turns, sees what's happening, assuming that Jack is awake and kissing her, and he gets up, and Jack's arm kind of moves and then it just drops. It drops like dead weight next to him. It appears like Sienna is touching him around his crotch area. Again, it can only be so sure from the angle. Now, Sienna says this video is taken completely out of context. She states that, again, her and Jack they weren't really dating, but they also weren't just friends. They were very touchy-feely, very kissy. Again, here's where her being 17 kicks in. Just because you have any form of physical relationship with somebody does not make it okay to touch them without their consent. Just because someone let you kiss you before does not give you a right to kiss them whenever you want. They have a right to take back that consent. Again, I don't think she understands that because she is still a child. But just because just because you've had sex with someone before does not mean that they're entitled to have sex with you again. Those things are mutually exclusive. Again, that's just me picking that up as someone who is older, and I'm just like, that don't look so good. But like she was saying, they have that type of relationship, so she was doing what they normally do. And then she states that like he was not like blackout drunk, and that he had passed out, because in the video they show him passed out. So she says that he passed out after they made out, which again does not look good, because you don't just pass out of nowhere. If you are heavily intoxicated enough to pass out, that means you are too intoxicated to consent to kissing and anything else sexual. You know, again, this is just me being older and being like, these things aren't giving what you think it does. To be so drunk that you will pass out on the couch of a party means you are not in the right mindset to give consent to do anything. She also states that she was not touching his private, she was touching his upper thigh. In my opinion, it's still a very sexual place to touch somebody. I wouldn't let a random man I didn't know touch my upper thigh, but that's just me. Stating that like this video is purposely framed to look this way, that if they would have captioned it something else, being like, you know, look at Sienna and Jack kissing in public, no one would say anything weird about it, I would have seen something weird about it. I don't know about you, but especially seeing how his arm just drops after his friend moves away, he looks very drunk. People were saying, oh, you move in your sleep. And also, like, if you're like, you have your arm on somebody and they move, your arm doesn't just like drop like that. That's not, you can very much so tell this man is not fully conscious. But that's her whole thing about the video, her kind of trying to debunk it. In my opinion, it really didn't prove her. It's, again, the aggressive tone doesn't help, like, at all. But like, again, like, I'm like, your points are very flimsy at best. Again, she could be right. She could be like, if because this video is framed the way it does look worse. To me personally, it don't look good however you try to spin it, because you can tell he's very intoxicated. Again, if you are so drunk you pass out, you shouldn't be making out with anybody. Again, just because you have a touchy-feely relationship normally does not mean you have free range to do whatever you want. Consent can be taken back. So, again, that's what really hurts her in, I think, in these two vids. I don't know why her lawyers let her do them. They don't look good when you're looking at it through the lens of an adult who understands consent, understands you can take back consent. Because I've done things sexually with you before does not give you free reign on my body. We could very much so have sex, and the very next day I'd say I don't want to do it anymore. Again, her points are very 17-year-old, which is why she should not be speaking about this, and it should be told through lawyers. Because again, to her non-fans, to grown people, to people who've been assaulted themselves, this does not look good. These points are very juvenile, very naive takes on sexual assault, because she herself is 17 years old. At the 8 minutes and 37 mark of her second video is where Sienna starts her victim blaming campaign. There's a lot of, why didn't you do this? And why did you do that? And how come you didn't do this? That does not look good. It does not look good. Because to people who've never been sexually assaulted, you don't fully understand the actions of victims. Victims don't make sense, okay? Asking Jack why, if you sexually assaulted him, why did he hang out with you the next day, is a disgusting thing to ask. So many people stay in relationships with people who've sexually assaulted them. There are people who will stay in contact with the person who sexually assaulted them for years. For years. People who've even like understood that this person has sexually assaulted me. And because they've given a flimsy apology, they rationalize in their head that everything's fine, everything's okay now, and they stay in contact with them. Like, don't do that. Don't. This is why I do not understand, if Sienna actually has lawyers involved, why did they let her post this video, especially at the 8 minutes and 37 mark? Because from that point forward is nothing but victim blaming. It's asking Jack, the victim, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? It's really gross to watch, honestly, especially with this, again, her tone makes it so much harsher. And maybe it is me being sensitive as someone who's dealt with this myself. It just didn't sit right with me to have her just basically attack Jack, a person who simply did not want this brought up in the first place. Why are we attacking the person? The person that you brought me your first video is a victim himself. Why are you doing this to him? Like, Sienna, this does not look good. It simply does not. And again, I'm being fair for legal purposes, but like, it don't look good. It truthfully and honestly does not look good for you to be attacking a victim and to victim blame for like the next like 2-3 minutes of your video. I forgot to mention this, but in her first video, she mentioned that Jack's brother James has sexually assaulted multiple girls, including some of her friends. And again, I absolutely fucking hate when people do this, where it's completely fine for your friends to be monsters, but now that you're not cool anymore, you seem to grow a conscience, and it's like, oh my god, this person's a monster. Like, you are just as bad as James if this is true. If you were aware that not only did James sexual assault multiple people, but some of them were your own friends, but now that you and James are not cool anymore, this is now like a got you moment, that's gross. That's really gross and fucking disgusting. If any of that is true, Sienna, that also does not make you look good. Again, how did your lawyers let you post these videos? Because they don't make you look good. There's too much in these videos that can be used against you in the court of public opinion. Because when you look at this as a non-fan of Sienna and as someone who's over the age of 18, whose frontal lobe has fully formed, this don't look good. It does not. That you were aware that James was a monster, but now that y'all aren't friends, you want to talk about, you should talk about when you were friends. If your friends came to you and told you that James assaulted them, you should have been right there next to them, getting this man up out of here. When Sienna had posted her first video, the amount of people that were attacking Jack, the person who didn't even bring it up himself, was so disgusting. And like, this just proves why male victims do not speak up, because didn't nobody believe him. And I felt so bad for him. Again, I don't know this young boy, but I could not imagine my assault being, pushed to center stage and having so many people not believe you. Because again, it is much harder for men and young boys to speak up. They get ridiculed from both sides. There's women who are brickheads, and then you have men who are like, you can't be sexually assaulted. That's rah masculinity bullshit. So I feel so bad for Jack. Regardless of the situation, he was sexually assaulted. That's on both sides can agree that Jack was sexually assaulted. And I absolutely hate that it's turned into this circus. Because I don't even believe that like Jack was even ready to talk about this. Jack's sexual assault should have been talked about on Jack's own terms, not used as chess pieces in this stupid fucking game of kids doing too goddamn much. I feel bad for him. I truly do. I hope that there's somebody like in his corner that's really there for him, because regardless of this situation, an assault did happen to a young boy who's being discredited left and right. Again, now once the video came out, a lot of people did change their tune, and then they changed their tune again when Sienna made her second video, which her second video again did not do much in my opinion for me. It ain't move me too much, just because I could very much see how intoxicated he was, and then he passed out afterwards, which means he was too drunk to consent to kissing in the first place. Sienna is not the first TikToker to, be accused of sexual assault, and she won't be the last, because TikTok is the way that it is. Anyone and anybody can get a decent following on there and get very, very big. There really is no filtering. There really is no anything on TikTok. TikTok is a very lawless place where you can do pretty much anything. Just the other day, there was like a video of someone like beheaded going around TikTok. Like, what? It is very, very lawless on TikTok. And again, TikTok is a breeding ground, it feels like, for predators. Because again, Sienna is not the first TikToker, and she won't be the last. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I wanted to make this video because I really hadn't seen a lot of people making videos on this. I've only seen maybe like one or two other videos, and I just feel like this is a very serious topic, especially because it involves the sexual assault of a boy. And I really do feel like that if the roles were reversed, I think more people would be talking about it and taking it a lot more serious. But because it is a girl assaulting a boy, people seemingly don't care, and I do think that's completely unfair. I am a huge advocate for people who've been sexually assaulted, men and women. I don't believe like only women can be victims, so my heart does feel bad for Jack. Again, regardless of who did it, he was assaulted, and it does feel like his assault is just being used as excuses, being used as I gotcha moments, and just being used by everybody who is not him. And I hate that. Absolutely hate that. Again, Sienna should not be talking. There needs to be an adult speaking for her, because when you look at these videos and you pick apart the things she says, they don't hold up when you're looking through the lens of a grown adult and you're looking through the lens of consent can be taken away, regardless of the fact that you've done anything sexual together, kissing, touching, anything, because you've done it before numerous times does not mean a person cannot take their consent back. And that's what she's failing to understand, and that's what's making her look bad. Even if she didn't do it, the way she is saying things does not look good. Okay? Saying, well, we have a very touchy relationship does not mean anything. You can have sex with somebody and then take the consent away halfway through it. None of that matters. Okay? None of that matters. And again, loving someone does not stop you from being a monster. It really doesn't. So I just really wish that instead of her getting in front of a camera, she had an adult do it for her. Because these words, the way she worded things to my adult brain, it's not, I'm not really feeling it. Again, this might work with children, but to adults, that don't hold up. You understand consent, you understand it can be taken back. These things fall apart. Again, I'm being fair for legal purposes. You know, the girlies love to sue, and I'm not getting sued for a YouTube video. I truly am not. I'm not getting paid for this. But yeah. Oh, my eyes. Today so what I'm doing this month is doing like pride flag inspired like looks. So if you know what flag this is, like comment that down below. But yeah, I'm telling you this so I can hold myself to it and keep doing it. So far I've done like 3. My first video, like last week, I did the bi flag, and then I did like the regular rainbow pride flag. The second video, and this one, if you know what flag this is, again, comment down below. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.